All right, this is Joe. Now, Joe's your average Canadian, so he spends 8 hours a night sleeping. In his entire life, this will account to 33% of his time doing exactly that, sleeping. And what this means is that he will have spent 27.3 years doing nothing. Now, sleep is really important, so we can't just avoid it. But for 200 million North Americans, sleep affecting their social life and their work life leads to sleep deprivation, which can lead to serious health deficiencies and things like heart disease. So this is Sonam, and Sonam is our product. And what we're trying to do is decrease the amount of time you need to sleep every night using electric waves, sorry. In your average night, you go through 4 to 6 sleep cycles. Now, each sleep cycle is made up of 5 sleep stages. You have stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and REM. Stage 1 and 2 are characterized by light sleep, and stage 3 and 4 are deep sleep. What light sleep means is that your brain is semi-active, and deep sleep is inactive. So your heart rate goes down, your pulse goes down, and that's when your body is really regenerating itself. So each what's it called again? Each stage, has a different frequency of waves. Stage 1 and 2 are characterized by theta waves, and stage 3 and 4, which is deep sleep, which is the most important, are characterized by delta waves. REM sleep is characterized by alpha and a mix of other waves. So that's just your brain is semi-awake and you're doing things like dreaming, so your eyes are moving. Now basically, what this means is that 55 to 70% of your sleep time is in light sleep, and that's activity that is trying to get you to deep sleep, and that 38 to 45% of your sleep is in deep sleep and in REM. And deep sleep and REM are the most important parts. That's not to say that light sleep is not important, but it's much less important than deep sleep. So how can we cut this down to even out, or to give you more time for deep sleep and less time for light sleep? Deep sleep, you only need around 1.5 to 1.8 hours per night, whereas REM, you also need only 1.5 to 1.8 hours a night. So if we can find a way to only sleep in REM and deep sleep, we'd only need, theoretically, 3 hours of sleep each night.
Right, and to solve this, we plan to use electric waves, or more specifically, something called TACS, or Transcranial Alternating Current Stimulation. Very mouthful of a name. But the way this works is basically we take an electrode and we put it onto parts of your head. So this works in a similar process to EEGs, but the idea is once we have these electrodes attached to the appropriate regions of your cervix skull, we can run a very light current through it and use it to affect your oscillating brainwaves. So what we can do is we can use something called sub-delta oscillation. Now, as my partner mentioned earlier, when we sleep, our stages of sleep are characterized by different brainwaves. So delta sleep, for example, is correlated with deep sleep. And deep sleep is what's correlated with physical regeneration, or just like regeneration of your cells. So when we do things such as applying a sub-delta frequency in this T-cart, or cranial stimulation, then we can effectively try to jump from our light sleep directly into our deep sleep and just really minimize the amount of time spent on our light sleep. This process can be applied to something like REM sleep as well, where instead of using a frequency that correlates with like sub-delta, we can use something that's similar to like alpha or beta waves. And in doing so, once again, the expectation is that we can just more or less jump to REM and deep sleep without going through the very long process of light sleep. Now, if we do this, we might make our sleep cycle look something more like this. So I didn't completely eradicate light sleep, but in this example, we've effectively cut up our light sleep by 35%, and that's 35% more time in just doing whatever you want. So that's immense, and that opens up for a large boost in overall productivity. So rather than having your sleep cycle having multiple just iterations over light sleep and deep sleep, we might be able to make it look something like this, where we have like a flat period of deep sleep followed by a very short instance of light sleep and then another instance of deep sleep or REM sleep. So when we do something like this, we can open up a lot of productive time, as I mentioned before, and it can just generally boost our time and efficiency in doing other things by a lot. So in concept, this might be in something like a headband. So if we can attach electrodes to regions of this headband and we can have it around our skull when we sleep, then we can effectively apply our stimulation through the sense, where the electrodes are in direct contact with your head and they can easily provide a very weak electric current that can run through your brain and influence your brain waves. So as my partner mentioned, a third of the average Canadian's life is spent sleeping, and that's, in terms of Canada, 27.3 years. So if we can effectively just remove 35% of that, let's just like round it to 50%. Like, let's say if we can even remove 13 years-ish of sleep, that's 13 years of additional productivity that we can offer to you. And that amount of time just spent not sleeping can be used to do whatever you want and thus just do productive things. So for us, we have one page and another article provided. So article just providing a brief summary of how our process work in a more in-depth look than our presentation, where our one-pager just provides a very brief overview. We also have a website that has a landing page that looks like this, so if you want to check that out, then we can provide you with a bit more information. So ultimately, sleep is extremely important for us, but it takes up a lot of our time. So our goal is to reduce sleep by 35% effectively, and in doing so, increase our productivity by just that much. And we're looking for passionate and innovative people that are willing to help us accomplish this goal.
Thank you.